One of the greatest scientists of the 20th century was a man called Richard Feynman. And he asked us to imagine something. Imagine, he said, that everything we know about science has been forgotten. Imagine forgetting how the human body works. Imagine forgetting why people don't fall off the earth as it spins around in space. Imagine forgetting how the giraffe got its long neck, or even forgetting how the whole universe began. Now, he said, suppose that we didn't have to forget quite everything. Suppose we were allowed to save just one fact. That we could keep one scientific fact to pass on to our children and to our children's children and to our children's children's children. What fact should we choose? What would be the most important fact of all? There is, he said, one fact that is more important, more interesting, and more basic to science than any other fact. It is a fact so powerful that it explains something about everything around us. It explains what all things have in common. Think of the huge variety of things there are around us. Even the ordinary everyday things we find around us. Just in our classroom, we find chairs and tables, we find pens and papers, we find books and walls and children and teachers. In our homes, we find carpets and sinks and fridges and televisions. We find food to eat and drinks to drink. We find family. Sometimes we find pets. In our gardens and parks and woodlands, we find grasses and flowers and trees. We find all manner of insects and birds and all sorts of animals. We find many types of non-living things like stones and soil and water, as well as the very air we breathe that keeps us alive. And if we go further afield, we find other less familiar things. Funny-looking animals, ferocious beasts, beautiful sea creatures like dolphins, wonderfully colourful fish. We find different types of land and rock formation. We find volcanoes, huge waterfalls, breathtaking mountains and canyons. If we travelled out to space, we would find other planets, some solid like our planet Earth or our neighbour Mars, and some made of gases like Jupiter and Uranus. We would find stars like our sun, huge fireballs of burning gas, and maybe, deep in space, we could find other planets like ours, with other living creatures just like us, living their own lives and discovering their own science. The real magic of science is that it can explain every one of these things, how they work, how they got here, and what they are made of. Wherever we go, whatever we can see, or hear, or touch, or taste, every single one of those things around us, above us, below us, and even inside us, has one thing in common. So what is the fact that scientist Richard Feynman thought was so amazing? It is that everything, every single one of these things we have seen or will ever see, is made of the same thing. Everything is made of atoms.